Yes, Patrick Kessler has clinched the driver championship, and the team championship is virtually locked in place, leaving only pride and momentum as the main prizes at stake this afternoon. But despite the lack of drama in the standings, you will not want to miss the upcoming broadcast, because that lack of big picture pressure will allow the competitors to compete with reckless abandon at a venue that is a show in itself. Apex Online Racing's Formula Renault 2.0 Season 10 Championship comes to Spa-Francorchamps for the campaign's final race. And all the simulated Formula Renault caution to the wind action, the green flag to victory donuts, can be seen live as it happens here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hello and welcome to another GSRC broadcast. Joe Peak joining yours truly, Bill Soups on the microphones. Sean Ambrose is our director, armed with cameras locked and loaded by Dougie Beard. Joe, I could not think of a better racetrack to close out the season than Spa. For me, this place is the Sandra Bullock of racetracks, impossible not to love.
And, you know, it's got lots of good reasons why it's so well loved. Drivers ask for a lot of things in a racetrack. Elevation change, variety of corners, passing opportunities, technical challenge, high speeds. Spa's got all of those. You're hardly left wanting, hence why it's so widely popular around the world. And even the fans get something out of it because the scenery is absolutely gorgeous on top of everything. But those new to the racing scene might not be aware of the incredible history of this place. It's essentially lived two lives. For most of the 20th century, it was a monstrous 14 kilometers. It took until the 1970s for drivers to say enough was enough, and it eventually was reconfigured into a similar layout to what you see today to ensure better safety. One last change to the bus stop chicane finally brought it to just over 4 miles or 7 kilometers. About the only thing missing from this is one of the most notorious features of Spa, the weather. It's incredibly unpredictable in real life, with rain being a frequent and sudden obstacle to deal with. Since it'll be thankfully dry out there in the virtual world, the Renaults will see a lot of drafting on these long straights. However, that'll make keeping your cars pristine all the more important, since extra drag is going to eat away at your lap times very quickly. Hopefully, it'll be a clean race for most of our drivers, but to see what they'll see from the cockpit, why don't we hop on board with the GSRC lap guide?
All right, we've got Amjad Yaman in the GSRC Formula Renault 2.0, so let's do a lap around Spa. Coming down to La Source, this is likely to be a good overtaking spot. Watch out for the over-under though, because a corner this sharp really lends itself to overshooting the turn and compromising your exit. As you head down the hill past the old pits, bring the car off the right to set up for Eau Rouge. Even in these high downforce cars, you'll want to get single file because going too wide will slow both of you down tremendously. Straighten it out as much as you can to help carry your momentum over the top of the hill, and then from here, it's a drafting game all the way to Lacombe. Expect anyone relatively close to you to be able to suck up and probably slingshot past down the Kemmel Straight. It'll make your battles a lot more strategic and track position not nearly as important. Also, you can outbrake your opponents into Lacombe, so the fight isn't over once you reach the chicane. You can even defend from the outside if you're wily. From there, hold to the left to get a better run through Malmedy. The short blaster Ravage also opens itself up to surprise attacks. Just be wary into the downhill braking into this 180-degree bend. It's easy to understeer wide all through the corner. Switch sides quick and self the car for no-name corner. Just a little lift will get you through, and then we head downhill towards Pouan. The entry to this double apexer is very quick, which makes it tough to be accurate. Thankfully, the paved runoff on the outside means you'll have an easier time recovering if you go a bit wide. Keep your foot in it on the second half, get back to the left, and spot your brake marker for Fanyes. It's a medium-speed chicane, so passing opportunities are few unless you get a huge run on the car ahead. Stay tucked to the right on the first half, and then let her fly around the second apex. The straight to Stavilo is a short one, so get back to the racing line quick. The first bend is the slower one, and honestly pretty critical to your lap time since you won't need the lift at the second bend. The long, long backstretch will certainly punish anyone who hesitates to get to the power, leaving the cars behind ample opportunity to breeze by. Just like the Kemmel Straight, strategic draft battles tend to erupt on the lower portion of the circuit. The run through Blanchiment is much easier in the Renault than you'd find in GT cars, and you'll stay flat-footed easily. Coming out of the corner, watch out for attack coming down to the bus stop. This is another spot where passes are popular, but this chicane could also create havoc occasionally. Tuck it into the apexes, but keep it off the giant sausage curbs because they'd send the car all out of whack. Make sure you nail the exit to keep yourself safe from lunges into La Source, and as you cross the line, you've now finished a lap around Spa.
The man from La Mancha, Robert Goulet-type voice of Joe Peak, talking and taking us around the racetrack, this time Spa. Now, before we look at the point standings to see just how safe Patrick Kessler is on the way to his first championship, let's look back and have Joe talk about the numbers, how they add up for the doubleheader action that we just had at Imola.
Boy, Sadler was awful close to getting the double there, getting that first and second place. Obviously, that made him best today. Patrick Kessler gave him a good run for the money. Man, you talk about steep competition there at the end. Kessler getting a second and a third, which of course clinched the championship for him. Manuel Hoyer could have asked for a little bit more in the sprint, just a sixth place for him. Look at that, tied for fourth though, with René Oosterkamp getting a win in the sprint, but unfortunately the feature rate did not go well, which obviously set him up for that win. Glenn Key took an opposite approach, getting that fourth and an eighth to tie him on points for that one. However, Bill, what about the driver's standings? You talked about Kessler locking things up. What about everybody else?
Yeah, he's got 47 points up and 32 points in his pocket. So even if he were to have a disaster, that's 79 points is just too much for Reed to get to. Now, Kessler, you know, he's done this championship on consistency. Get this. This is kind of hard to believe. He only has one race win, and I'm not talking about an event win yesterday. I'm talking about just a single race. He just has won a single race this season. Phil Reed has a pair of sprint wins. Positive Sim Racing Green's Manuel Hoyer, he's won 3 times. 2 of them have been the big points feature races. His partner for PSR Green, Glenn Keeble, he's got 2 feature wins as well. And then you get down to Kessler's teammate, René Oosterkamp. Oosterkamp won 4 out of the first 5 feature races. One of those was the big points 60-minute race, single affairs. But then the wheels fell off the cart. René is coming off a sprint win at Imola. But anyway, you can see that Kessler's our champion. Let's go down to the team championship here. And what I want to do is go back and talk a little bit about those best of day honors. You know, when it came to those honors, Sim RC, Patrick Kessler, and René Oosterkamp, they combined for 76 points. The team that is chasing Positive Sim Racing Green, that's manned by Manuel Hoyer and Glenn Key, they could only muster 67 points at Imola, so they dropped a little bit of ground. They're not out of the mix yet, but boy, 71 points, that's a tall order with just one race to go. You can look at the rest of those teams. Team AOR Orange, Phil Reed and Kerry Nolden, they've been fast, but neither one of those guys have been fast on the same racetrack. Positive Sim Racing Orange, watch out for these guys. They're going to be fun to watch for Season 11. That's the Russian driver Alexei Sorokin and the guy racing out of the Czech Republic, Lubomir Morris. They're back there in 4th, but they put in good results. Team AOR Blue, they're sitting in 5th. They got to watch out as Radicals Online is just a couple points behind them off the overlay. All right, GSRC is always attracting new viewers. So for those unfamiliar with AOR, there's always some different formats. Usually we have a doubleheader, not the case today, Joe.
Indeed. And, well, I guess that's fitting with it being the last race of the season. 12 out of 12 here today. So this is it. If you want to gain positions in the championship, you got to do it here. Now, as mentioned today with a single race, that means it's 60 minutes long, a little bit longer than they're used to even in their feature races. The setups are open, and that is going to make a big difference around here because there's so many high-speed corners and because you need to try and find that magic point on the drag as to getting the car fast down the straights. Drivers will have tweaked them to their liking. Now, there are no fast repairs, so if you damage the car, I mean, you can get that front wing replaced if need be, but you better hope that you've done it right before your pit stop so that you can get in and get that nose repaired. Otherwise, you're going to be lacking down the front stretch. Now, let's talk to you a little bit about what this single race format entails as well. I mentioned that it was 60 minutes. The grid, of course, there is no regrid with this being a single event, so the order is determined by your qualifying here today. Now, they do have one pit stop out there that I mentioned in case you do get any of those damages that you need repaired. But big thing today, incident cap, 17x. Now, if you're not familiar with iRacing, an incident is counted as basically a spin, an off-track contact with another car, or contact with the wall. The reason this is important is because if you hit that 17, that's just the 17, that's not over, then you are disqualified on the spot. Right away, your car just disappears into the ether like that. So with Spa being so difficult with the off tracks, we could see a few cars go away today before the race is over. Now, 52 points for a win. That means it's very important out there, and it's down to 20th place to get a good finish in this single race. It makes a lot more of a difference if you have trouble today as opposed to the double race format where you can come back in the sprint and try to get some points, Bill.
Let's go ahead and take a second. We have a few audio gremlins we need to work out, so we're going to be quiet here for a few seconds, but you get to watch them race on the track. We'll be back in just a few. And we got those gremlins spanked and put to bed without dinner, so hopefully they'll be behaving. You know, we talked about some of the things there during the race details. Pit stops. I hope Josh Thompson was listening to what Joe had to say. Josh actually forgot to make his pit stop. It's a mandatory stop you have to make, come in for tires. They can let you have as much fuel as you want. I'm not sure what the driver's going to do today with 60-minute race. Maybe they're going to put in not quite so much fuel, take a little bit when they come in for their stop that they need to. But Josh actually forgot to do it. He took his stop on the very last lap and had his results. Well, he was basically DQ'd from a feature race where he would have finished in the tops, inside the top 10. Joe, we were talking before we went live about iRacing eventually getting weather and how there really doesn't need to be variable weather here. They can just make Spa rain all the time, but it's not raining today, is it?
No, and well, it's very clear, unusual for Spa, of course, in the real world. But 78 degrees out there, air temperature, so a little warm for the Eiffel Mountains, I suppose, or excuse me, not the Ardennes, not the Eiffels. We're not in Nürburgring. Track, though, that is what's making it slippery. It's 100 degrees out on the track, and even some of the drivers in the warm-up were talking about this, Bill. I had trouble when I was trying to do a few laps out here trying to get the power down, and you know that's just compounded because you're trying to get the wing as low as possible to be fast down the straights to allow you to pass. So you know, on top of everything, you got the hot track, you got no downforce, so there's a few spots where it's very dangerous to get on the power too greedily, and you're going to see some cars spinning out. I'm pretty sure we're going to see some cars pointing the wrong direction a few times throughout this race.
Yeah, what's interesting is sometimes the setup that might give you the fastest lap times is not always the one that is best for racing, because if you put in a lot of downforce, you might be good through the technical section, but you have no straight line speed to make a pass, right, Jeff?
Exactly. And really, there's this old adage in racing, Bill, that it's easier to pass people on the straightaways than it is in the corners. And that's why you see drivers, especially in the mid-pack and towards the back, try to take that wing out and be able to give themselves the opportunity to make some passes. And why you saw that, you know, that old Red Bull philosophy that you saw for a lot of years, crank up the wing, just chuck downforce on the thing, and you can run away from the pack because you don't have to worry about passing anybody. You're already out front. You can get the lap times in. So it'll be interesting to see how the setup varies between drivers and what they expect in terms of qualifying pace, which is just about over here. We only got a minute left.
Well, out front right now, it is the SimRC boys on the qualifying chart. Rene Oosterkamp. I talked about momentum being one of the things the guys are racing for today. Rene started with it at the beginning of the season. He was untouchable. Then, to this quote myself, the wheels fell off the cart. He has a win coming out of the sprint race. Boy, he'd like to finish strong here season 10 when we go into season 11. Him and his partner, Patrick Kessler, sitting at the top of the charts.
One of the other things to worry about as this timer ticks down here, Bill, you know, I mentioned the incident points and being DQ'd. Well, it's not just in the race that you have to worry about them. In qualifying, for those that don't know, if you have an off track anywhere around here, it disqualifies your lap as well in qualifying. So you need a clean lap to get any time in. And I see a number of drivers down at the bottom without a qualifying time in, Bill. I think we saw a few drivers fall afoul of that.
Yeah, Phil Reed and was one of those. Alex Sandler, another one after his big day, is yet to put in a qualifying time.
And I think it's time for the grid, Bill.
Let's go ahead and do it. And since we have a standing start, we'll go 10 at a time. Renee Osterkamp and Patrick Kessler fill up that front row. They're inside of they're ahead of Kerry Nolden. Glenn Key in the 4th position. Stefan Herman and Scott Newton go 5th and 6th. The next row is populated by Valtteri Alander out of Finland and Manuel Hoyer. Alexei Sorokin in 9th, inside of Lubomir Morris, a pair of teammates in row 5.
Ali Hayes starts in 11th with Dominic Gatormeyer starting 12th. Stuart Milne will be P13. David Boudelaar starts in the 14th position with Daniel Morris beside him in 15th. Sarah Dove, pretty good qualifying for her, starting 16th. Urkel Lindstrom will be 17th. Then you've got Kevin Turner in the 18th position, followed by Joseph Ringrose in 19th. The top 20 is rounded out by Evan Emre. I'll just finish them out here. Matteo Coppola starts 21st. Alex Sapper 22nd. Phil Reed 23rd. Now we get into the drivers that didn't get a time in. Luke Barton 24th, and Connor Ryan, our 25-car field here, Bill.
Sadler, Reed, and Luke Barton. There's a name we don't hear very much, but Luke is very, very fast. Watch those three guys work their way through the field. They're back there either because they couldn't put in a qualifying time, or perhaps there's a penalty that the commentator is not aware of. All right. We have sure enjoyed bringing you almost the entire season 10. We came in on race number 2. It has been a fun one. Pat Kessler has the championship. He sits in 2nd. His partner, Renee Osterkamp, up in front. Those two SimRC, what my old partner Sean Ambrose used to call the Swiss cheese colored machines there. They're yellow with black. We start here today. We're going to head down.
Lights are up.
The lights are up. We are on the other side of La Source, so it's a straight race ahead of them. Gather up the chickens. They cover behind the cows. Oh, my goodness. Glenn Key either had 4-wheel drive on that car or he jumped to start. He is out in front, but I think he's going to have to come again. Kessler, Osterkamp, Nolden, and Herman have gathered up the chickens and taken cover behind the cows.
Yeah, I'm giving that start a second look here to see if he did jump it. Oh, yeah, he definitely jumped it. So he's going to come in and serve that. But look at this battle. 3 wide down for second. What will be first eventually?
That was Kerry Nolden taking a peek in there. Couldn't get it done, and now he sits back in 3rd as he continues to press the 2 SimRC drivers in front of him.
And Osterkamp demonstrated what I was talking about before. He got really loose coming off of Lacombe and somehow kept it forward and is going to have the lead here in a second.
The back half of your top 10, Scott Newton, Valtteri Alander, Manuel Hoyer, Alexei Sorokin, and Lubomir Morris, those 2 PSR green drivers in 9th and 10th.
Down through Pruhan, just a little bit of a lift, a little braking depending on how you want to approach it into this corner, but incredibly fast in these cars. And then they come down to Fanyes. Nolden trying his best to get back past Kessler, and he's been hassling him, but hasn't found a way by yet.
Let me correct myself. My color blonde got the best of me. PSR Orange are the 2 drivers back in 9th and 10th. That's Sorokin and Morris. Single file, Joe. Look at this.
I don't think it's going to stay this way here coming down through Blanchimont. It is flat out easily through there. Now, the wake may upset you a little bit, but I think cars are going to be able to stay very close to each other. In fact, Nolden has already taken a look on Kessler.
As did Alander on the back of Newton for 6th.
Oof, they're cutting it awful close through the bus stop chicane. difficulty there, Bill, is that there's not a lot of brake markers except the shadows, which you can use since they're going to stay the same here today. But once we get that day to night transitions, boy, drivers are going to have to start picking something else to look for their brake markers into the bus stop.
Now, because we have the different layout here, which layout are we on here today, Joe? We're on the
classic
pits, which puts the start-finish line on the other side of the source.
Yes, on the downhill. And Olden is not giving up on Kessler. He's going to have another go, this time into Lacombe, looking around the outside. And this is a battle for the lead, actually.
Well, it is and it isn't. As Oosterkamp gets the pass on Glenn Key, we're expecting Glenn's going to have to come in for a pit stop here for that jump start. They're side by side behind him, though. Nolden and Kessler. Kessler's going to be able to hang on to it. Nolden on the outside. Boy, they almost lock wheels.
Oof. You talked about that the gloves were off with no championship on the line. And these guys are fighting fierce for the start of a 60-minute race. Look at how much it's checking them up behind them. That's Herman, Newton, Alander, and Hoyer. And, Hoyer almost loses it out of no-name corner.
And now trying to peek in. Hoyer trying to get around Alander. Can't get it done. They go through Puhan.
Back to single file through these quick, twisty corners. Sometimes you can try passes into fan use, but it's difficult to make it stick into there from my experience.
On the first lap, I can report there was a little bit of contact. Phil Reed was trying to make his way through the field. Him and Alex Sadler got together. Those are the two fast drivers we talked about. Sadler's day is done. Erka Lindstrom was also involved in that incident. Reed's going to continue to race.
Boy, this train goes a long way back. The first time it splits up is 11th. That's Dominic Gatermeyer, who's actually in a battle himself with Ali Hay and Stuart Milne. It's almost going to be like Skippy races we tend to see here, Bill, where you want to hold on to the front.
You can see the train, and then there's that Gatermeyer battle. This is a fun one. In fact, making the pass on the outside of the bus stop, that's Ali Hay, but he can't get it done. And now watching back there in the blue car, that's Stuart Milne.
Yeah, that was a fistful of wheel spin coming off the bus stop, and that really hurt Ali Hay. He could have had an opportunity to get another chance here into La Source, but because he didn't get a good launch, he was way too far back for a pass there.
Go up front. We're going to look here at Kessler and Herman. Now in third position, Nolden's out in front with the dark colored car. Then you have the two teammates, Kessler. These are actually cousin teams. They're SimRC and SimRC Retro. Kessler out in front in fourth. Making a run now on Nolden. Nolden covers the inside like wall-to-wall carpet. Going to make Kessler take it on the top. Not going to get it done.
Yeah, this is what I love about these cars. It's just enough that it's not an automatic pass heading down there. But it does give you an opportunity and some tense moments into Lacombe. We're going to have some side-by-side braking. Now, that's if both of you get a good run, though, Bill. If the guy in front has a bad exit off of Radillon, well, then he's going to be a sitting duck.
We're looking at that battle for what I'm going to really call second, because Glenn Key's going to get out of here pretty soon. He's working lap 3.
I think, anyways.
Yeah. My understanding is he's got to do it this time around. But what is really interesting is the driver in 6 is now pulled away. I thought maybe it was the cork in the bottle. I'm talking about Alander. He's pulled away, but a real good battle. Hoyer, Newton, Morris back there, and Sorokin back in like 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th.
And we know that Hoyer's a fierce fighter, so I'm sure this is going to be fun with this pack of cars, especially if he can get away from them. If he gets past Alander and maybe can run down Herman and Kessler, I expect him to gain a few positions throughout this race.
Boy, as we look at this, I think Anders got one of these cars with a lot of downforce because he's really good through the technical section. But now he is getting gobbled up. Here comes Hoyer. Oh, he doesn't leave him much room, does he, Joe?
Yes, out to the grass, and I think maybe he had the lift because he was so far off the line, trying to go too wide through Blanchimont. Whew.
Oh!
That was Newton.
That was Newton going around, but he keeps it going straight. Boy, he's out on the AstroTurf now. He's working it.
And look how important it is to get off these corners well. He drops so much time to the cars ahead. Lubomir Morris maybe a little too far back for a pass as Newton moves back to the line to cover him off. Man, it is, I think, the big difference for the day as he finally serves his penalty. The big key for the day, Bill, is going to be getting the traction right off of the slow corners. But few ones there are around here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go up to second position. Here they come again. This is Nolden trying to defend on the inside. Kessler going around. This time he's got a little more room. He might be able to close the door even before they get into cones, and they do. He gets it done.
Yep, and Nolden with a bit of a bobble coming off Lacombe. Herman going to have a chance now because of that. Is he brave enough in Vage? It's late breaking into... No, he's going to stay in line.
And while that was going on, we can report Hoyer did get around Valtteri Alander, so now Hoyer has the pace. Remember, he's really quick. He's got about 1.5 seconds to get up to Herman.
And here's the bad news for Alander is he's now really close in the slipstream of Hoyer, which sounds good, but remember, in these fast corners, he wants the downforce, which is being taken away from Hoyer, or by Hoyer, excuse me. So he's doing a good job holding it up. If he could just stay close enough that maybe he could tag along on the fast rates, maybe he could ride his coattails up or even get the spot back again. Looks like he survived it pretty well. Oh, no, he's dropping off in Stavolo, though. This was the critical spot. Yeah, he's a little too far back if he's got high downforce on that car.
Let's drop a little bit farther. We continue to focus on the top 10. We'll get a little bit farther back here in a minute. We'll go to 7th position. This is Newton trying to hold off Morris. Morris qualified in 10th position, is making a run up here as he's trying to get one more spot.
Yeah, just a little too far back there into the bus stop. Up ahead of them, fight was getting fierce between Herman and Nolden for a second, but it looks like Nolden got a run off the corner well enough to keep him safe. As we watch these guys head down into Lewis one more time.
Look here at Nolden again now as he's going to try to take that defensive line that he's done every time. Look at the run that Herman has.
Herman's looking good off of Rodillion.
Nolden is right in behind Kessler. Maybe that's going to give him a little more speed, and I think that's what's going to keep Herman from getting there. In fact, Nolden's floating up on the back. Nolden tries to go to the outside.
Super late on the brakes. He still makes the corner. Can't quite get it done, though. And while that was happening, Alander managed to get a run over the top of the hill on Hoyer, and he took that spot back up to fifth.
All this about 5 seconds behind Osterkamp, and this battling, while it's fun, is good news for Osterkamp. Look at this, Nolden stays in there. Yes, there are more cars in the race, and we'll try to get back and cover them in a minute. But right now, we're going to focus on top as Nolden tries to get second. He's going to be, as they come up to the left-hander, he'll have the preferred positions. They go through Puhan, and he gets it done.
Wow, brave stuff into there. It's downhill, and it's hard to find a grip on that first part of the corner, especially if you're offline. So Nolden apparently knew what he was doing because he got that to perfection.
But all that horseplay has allowed Valtteri Alander and Manuel Hoyer. They continue to swap position. Hoyer going really wide. Boy, they come up, but they're right in the mix as well now.
He's got to watch how many times he goes wide like that. Remember, yeah, Bill, those incident points, we can't see how many they've racked up until this race is over.
I think Hoyer's going to have a good run. He's the last car in the train. He's the caboose.
And they're too wide in front of them. Kessler and Nolden again coming up the Blanchimont. Kessler's not brave enough to stick it around the outside.
And Alander holds off Hoyer as well. Down into the bus stop. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 all get through there cleanly.
Stuff like this, Bill, is why both fans and drivers love this track. You get chances to pass, puts on a good show, so fans love it. And at the same time, it gives all the high speeds that drivers love.
We're going to stay on these guys in second here. One more shot down into Lacombe, and then we're going to go back and look at some of the other drivers a little farther back. Hey, look at this! Hey. Stephen Herman says, enough of this. I'm going to come in. You know what? We talked about the nonsense slowing these guys down. Herman thinks, Joe, I'll just go out there and run some fast laps on my own.
Yeah, I think this is a good call, if I'm honest, as we ride on board with Nolden. Still trying to hold off Kessler. He's got a good slipstream. He looks around the outside. He's ahead of him. If he could just outbrake him, he's good. And he's moved back in, so Nolden's conceded the spot at this point.
Valtteri Lander was able to fend off Herman. Okay, so with the who pulled out of that one? I forgot who it was. Is it Kessler that left us? No, it was Hoyer.
Hoyer's out of track. Herman pulled in.
Herman pulled in. Thank you, Joe. With him out of the mix, let's go ahead and talk about the drivers. Maybe 11th back. Let's start with Sarah Dove. How about a hard charger? Started in 16th, up 5 spots. She actually qualified. She's now in the top 10.
Yeah, 6 spots there.
Yeah, there you go, 16. That's that club. There you go, 16th to 10th. I can do the math. Ali Hay, racing in 11th. He's got about a second to get up to Dove. Let's go back a little bit farther. David Boutelar, we've seen him. He's a veteran of the series in 12th. No real battles going on back here. Now, here's the driver I told you to watch out for in 13th. Luke Barton. He certainly has a top 10 in his sights easily. He's really quick. But nice battle for 14th. Go ahead, Joe.
The thing about Luke Barton is he's struggling with the setup. Before the race, he was actually on the radio asking if anybody's willing to help him out and getting the car set up because he felt slow in a straight line. So I guess maybe he had a little too much wing in it. Oh, and Valtteri Lander.
Let's go to Herman. Yeah. Herman and Lander get together.
Hoyer.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Hoyer, yes. Sorry about that.
I think this was a bit of miscommunication between the two because it was on straight. Well, it's sort of straight. The run from Stavelo to down to Blanchimont has a few back and forth, but usually you can stay away from each other pretty easily. The problem, as we'll see on the replay, is Lander was trying to cover him off, and he wasn't clear, so he just chopped his nose off.
That's a Lander in the white car, and Hoyer in the yellow car. You can see them get together. Maybe one more shot of that one from above, and you can really see how the racing line changes up on that. This is important. These guys were racing up front. See if we can maybe get to a shot in the blimp. There we go. This will be good if the trees stay out of the way.
Such a shame, honestly. Both were fast drivers today.
There you go. Let's see. They get together. Yep.
Another driver taking his pits is Ali Hay.
And we should report that that Herman is in and out.
Can we go to Sarah? She's 3 wide right now, in the middle, heading up to Lacombe. Evan Emre is on her inside. Can she make the corner? She's a little too hot. Oh, and the car behind that was Connor Ryan losing it.
Ryan started the back. He did not put in a qualifying time. He was making his way through the field. The battle continues, though, up in front with Dove. And Emre's going to get the best of it. Man, God, there are 3 cars put under a blanket. Lindstrom in there as well. Wow, that's Emre. Dove with a run, Joe.
Yeah, she's not giving up on this. Right behind him down into Puhan. Can she withstand the wake of the car? Yeah, she can. This is going to set her up nicely. She might take a dive into Fanyi's even. Oh, no, she lifts. Lindstrom
in the popcorn position, watching. Look at Dove taking interesting racing lines, trying to get a little clean air maybe on the wing.
Possibly. It could just be they have different approaches because Fanyi's tends to do that with it being a right left. It's do you want to go in a little hot on it or do you want to set yourself up for the exit? Here she goes.
Good shape here, yeah. Now, they might have to be 2 wide through Blanchimont, but they should be able to get that done. She's going to be in a good position to the bus stop, although she's lost all of her momentum. There we go.
She had a wobble coming out of there, though.
A huge hole punch for Lindstrom, but nowhere to put the car. Dove tries to close the door, leaves enough room. Emre settles into the second in line there, and Lindstrom had nowhere to go. Boy, that's good racing.
You don't mess with Sarah. She is a bird of prey today.
Oh,
now,
look at
oh no! Urka stuck his nose in a little bit too late, and poor Emre came out the worst of it.
Lindstrom took it in deeper than Beatnik Poetry. Could not get the car woed up. Couldn't hold the inside line. Got into Rolling Thunder. Here it is.
That's that adrenaline when it gets going. He saw those 2 fighting, thought, oh, this is my chance, and just a little bit too over-eager into that corner. You know, the fight for second hasn't abated, Bill. Nolden is still up with Kessler. And they've stretched away from Lubomir Morris, so they can duke it out for a bit here and not really have to worry.
The guy these guys are also racing is on the other side of the track, and that's Stefan Herman. Remember, he was in this mix, and he bailed out of it. Right now, Herman races in 16th position.
I think Glenn Key took his pit stop when he served his penalty, because he's back out with Herman.
That's just... I can't imagine they're going to let that stand as a regulation pit stop. I show him as making one stop, but it should have been to serve the penalty.
Unfortunately, they run by iRacing rules, and I think you can do that in iRacing.
Well, then I'm jumping every start then if I'm in this one, because then I'll just come in, take my regulation stop, change my tires. Yes, but absolutely, that's what's going on. Remember, Key started up front, jumped to start, got out in front, had to serve what we believe is a black flag penalty for jumping to start. So he's made one stop, as has Herman, as they go around now. Connor Ryan. Ryan did not put in a qualifying time. We just saw him at that stint.
Now, as we ride on board with Glenn Key, one of the sister teammates, Alexei Sorokin and Lubomir Morris, have been in quite a fight, and what is now for fourth since Scott Newton has ducked away into the pits.
Newton in. We'll keep an eye on him, see where he comes out. Certainly going to come out behind Herman. I believe Herman just threw La Source right now.
Sorry to jump us around, but Nolden got by Kessler for second place. That was an easy pass up the Kemmel Straight. Not sure that we really need to see it again. It was pretty easy slipstream.
But here's something. Let's go to Scott Newton if we can. He's in 16th position. He just came out of the pits. Somebody to keep an eye on. He's right behind the guys in front of him. Boy, this Herman, let's jump up a couple cars on track. Herman out in front. That's Key. As they go in. Oh, my goodness, they get it figured out.
Oh, Turner and Ryan, this is for position. Both of them have not stopped. Ryan a little wide, somehow keeps the foot in it and comes out with a spot. But that is great news for both Key and Herman, because with those two having not pitted, they really did not want to be tangling with them and slowing each other up.
Don't need to go there. I'm just going to report Luke Barden is up to 8th position now. Started in 24th.
Well, whatever woes he had with that that setup, he seems to have got a handle on it. Now, he hasn't pitted yet, so he's going to lose a few spots once he comes in.
Well, we'll keep an eye on it. It's 2 seconds back to David, up to David Boudelaar. So we'll keep an eye on that one as he closes the gap, which is shrinking. All of this going on behind the man who started the season with such domination. I talked about momentum. That's what Rene Oosterkamp wants right now. 5 seconds. He's all by himself. Take a look at, there he is. His team, SimRC Racing, or SimRC, should win the team championship. In fact, the two teammates, Oosterkamp and Kessler, run 1-2 right now. Although I haven't checked back in to see who's ahead back there.
Yeah,
Renee's golden now, yeah.
Renee's got the start of the season down and the end of the season down. He's got to work on the stuff in the middle, as Nolden just set the fastest lap of the race. So, boy, Nolden is on the move.
It's like an Oreo with avocado stuffed in the middle. It just doesn't really work. You gotta get that
I'd try that.
creamy center.
I like avocado. I'll give it a shot.
There's Kerry Nolden. Nolden teamed up with Phil Reed. Both quality drivers. A problem with that team, AOR. What color are they? I think they're orange.
Yeah, that's orange.
They just haven't been. Strong on the same race.
Nolden is dropping Kessler.
Yeah,
it's the second back now. I don't know what happened, because those two were just stuck together this whole race.
Yep, he's starting to pull away. Lubomir Morris up in 4th, and Sorokin, his teammate, in 5th.
What I really wonder about, Bill, is we've got Herman, Key, Newton, some of these guys making earlier pit stops, and they've been dealing with traffic. So it's always a danger that you run when you pit early, that you'll get caught up with all these cars that are slower. So I'm kind of wondering if they're going to get gapped by guys like Osterkamp, Nolden, Kessler, and Morris, because they're staying out running mostly by themselves.
And we look at that battle right now. This is Herman and Key as they come up on the back of Coppola. Now, is Coppola a lap down? No, is this a battle for position?
Coppola hasn't pitted yet. This is for position, okay. But he's off strategy.
Oh, there's it. Okay, that's got it. Okay. So, yeah, Joe, you were talking about that. When Herman first made his stop, he had some clean laps before he got into traffic. I think he was just getting frustrated being in the mix that was going on between Nolden and Kessler and all the nonsense going on in front of him. The real question is, what does Glenn Key have to do? Does he have to pit again, or are they going to let that be his pit stop?
I don't know. I don't have the rule book right next to me. I'd have to dig through. And
I have read the rules. They clearly didn't mention anything about having to serve a black flag in there, but one would think it's this kind of common sense rule.
Oh, well, here we thought Nolden had dropped him, and Kessler finds his way back. Oh, Nolden, can he get it together? Stay off the wall. Oh. Wow, heart in your throat stuff for Nolden.
That's that defending that inside line, but what a great job of car control to keep the car clean, assuming it went over the curbs okay. Watch this.
Yeah, it didn't really... Yeah, I don't think those curbs hurt him, but boy, the rear end just wouldn't follow him when he tried to change direction there in Lacombe. And you saw what happened. Just had to slide it through the grass and pray that he didn't brush those tires.
I can hear Stefan Herman right now watching this on the replay after the race is over saying, see, Soup and Joe, that's why I didn't want to be part of that. And that's why he's back there. Let me deal with Coppola. Let me deal with Bird, one at a time, rather than always have that nonsense going on in front of me. It will be interesting to see where Herman and Key sort out when Nolden and Kessler do actually pit.
All right, do we have a bogey time? Because 39 seconds... So cone to cone, I'm seeing 28.4 for Herman, but he's 39.1 seconds behind Osterkamp right now. So, I don't know, Bill.
32, boy, that's... Yeah, his pit stops times where Herman was actually 28 cone to cone, but that doesn't take into account getting up to speed coming out of the pits lane.
And slowing down, too, yeah. Tack on another couple seconds. Yeah. It's awful tight. He was a couple seconds behind when he pitted, because remember, Osterkamp was running away a little bit. So if anything, it's not Osterkamp we need to see. So 6 seconds to Kessler to Osterkamp. So that'd be 32 seconds between Herman and Kessler. Herman might jump him, actually.
Let's go to 10th position. This is fun. This is Emery. And now we talked about Herman. He's got Evan Emery to work on right now.
Yeah, these guys obviously still battling for 10th.
Emery still needs to make this stop.
R12 left them behind. Once she got by, she is 6 seconds up the road. Here we go. Up and over the hill. Stefan Herman, can he make this an easy pass? He doesn't want to waste too much time trying to race side by side through the corner. That's how you lose time.
Lets him by, then he moves over so he can get a good angle into the corner. Glenn Key did not make it there. Dove in 9th still needs to stop. Oh, you know what? Can we go to 7th? Because I've been watching it. My goodness, he ran him down faster than I can get there. Remember we were talking about Luke Barton running up on the back of Boutelar? Well, he got him. In fact, he's got him and left him. Well, it was a while ago. We don't really need to get to it. He's pulled away now, 2 seconds ahead.
Wow.
So who's next for Barton? Well, he's got about 2 seconds, and I'm not going to miss this one. to get to Stuart Milne.
Wow. I mean, color me impressed with Luke Barton. I was not expecting much with the way that he was having to actually reach out for help to get his car set up. Maybe someone actually did help him out and got him going. He just maybe didn't have a qualifying setup to get himself a good quali lap. But regardless, boy, what a climb.
Now, of course, some of that's going to drop when he still needs to make a stop, but nevertheless, he has run down a lot of drivers. Order of the drivers who've pitted, it's Herman. Then we have the question mark around Glenn Key, whether he has to make one more stop. Scott Newton, the third driver, we kind of have left out of the mix a little bit. Let's check in on Scott, see if he's got anybody around him. Newton right now in 13th position.
Yeah, third of the drivers who've pitted. He's still got to get by Evan Emre, who's a little ways up the road. Glenn Key just got past him.
But he's got, he's got Key 2.7 seconds up. So Newton's made his stop. Newton's actually trying to run him down, because Newton's good to go.
Well, he came out just behind him after the pit stops, remember? And I wish I had looked at the gap at that point, because I can't tell if he's been running faster laps than Key has.
Why I think Newton is a possible threat is he had a great qualifying run, qualified 6th. Key and Herman were 4th and 5th, so he's got the pace to stay with those guys.
All right, so mid-packers have decided to give it a go. Kevin Turner, Matteo Coppola, Connor Ryan have come in. Still waiting on our front runners, though. Wonder if they're going to wait until 2 laps to go to bring it in. They aren't limited on fuel, so I'm pretty sure these things can go an hour.
Yeah, but I'm not sure why you would want to race with a full tank the entire time. I would figure out how much fuel I can put in and still change 2 tires and start a little less, but we'll see.
The tires don't mean too much, even in these 60-minute races.
But they have to change 2 tires. My point would be, how much fuel can I put in while my mandatory 2-tire stop is done? And that's what I would run with. They take the same amount of fuel whether it's the beginning or the end, though.
I mean, unless you wanted to take a little bit of a longer stop, just that so you could be lighter out there.
Right. Well, that's what I mean.
Laps.
To run it all the way to the end, you'd have to start with a full tank of fuel, or you'd have to start with more fuel than you would need to start with if you were going to put some in during the race. I guess that was my point.
Well, and here's the critical thing, Bill, is we are exactly halfway just now. So, and boy, speak of the devil, Kerry Nolden comes in. So I guess people are taking your advice, because the optimal way then would be to fill it so that you could go halfway, pit then, and then, go the rest of the way. He can take probably, while these 2 tires are being changed, he can probably take a considerable amount of fuel. So he's up, has to do the mandatory tires. What do you think, Joe? Would you take rears or fronts if you were only going to let you take 2? It depends on how you set up the car. With the way that a lot of these drivers have been struggling with wheel spin, and that's the other thing, it's how you've been performing too. If you've been struggling off the corners and find yourself slipping and sliding around, you put the rears on because you've lit them up too many times. If you found yourself understeering, going into corners too hot, then you'd put fronts on because you burned them up too quick. So we wanted to see how Nolden came out in relationship to Herman. Well, he's up by about 1.5 seconds. That's just about where Herman was before all the nonsense started with pits. So it didn't make too much of a difference. And maybe a second. He's about a second, just a touch over a second back. Maybe close enough to get a little help in the toe. Yeah, Glenn Key, if as long as he doesn't lose ground here, should be able to keep touch. And all he needs is one opportunity on one of these long straights where he gets a good launch and Herman gets a bad one, that he could be right up behind him then. Right now, Herman trying to run down Nolden, who's out there 1.3 seconds ahead. Let's go to Nolden right now, taking an interesting racing line. You can probably see it way up at the front. Get a quick replay of that one. Boy, he almost, the
Englishman almost put it in the wall. Not the first time he's almost put it in the wall, but he's lost all of his momentum now.
He was
Look at this
off
one.
the track. There'll be a little bit because we're just coming out of No Name. This happened out of Fanye's. So right on board. But man, he was on his way to the Netherlands. He was way off track.
He was indeed. You can see that beautiful, clear blue Belgian sky pushing down on the track.
Let's see, trying to figure out what happened watching from... Oh, you know what? He put that left wheel on the curb bill, and you could see it start to get away from him as we watched the onboard. So he actually had to chase the car, is why he was that far off.
So now when we come back live talking about chasing, well, Stefan Herman has chased him down.
Also, our leader is pitted. Osterkamp's back out in second place. Kessler has come in and out. And because of Nolden's problem, he's dropped Kessler's dropped Nolden.
Yeah, now here's the pass up front. You see going on right now. There goes Herman around the outside of Nolden. I think Nolden's going to give that one up. Key is in the mix, but right behind him, Lubomir Morris has made his stop. He's not that far back. Lubomir Morris about 2.3. He's got some work to do. You
spoke too soon. Nolden did not give that up. He came back up the inside, and Stefan Herman's having another go down through Rivage. Oh, I've rarely seen anybody make passes around the outside of Rivage, and as such, you see Herman has to slot back into 7th.
Nolden is good under braking. Yes, I just assumed that pass was made, but he can take that car in deep. So Nolden continues to lead Herman. This has let Key in the mix. 2.7 seconds from Key back to Morris. We were going to have to hustle to get into this mix. Osterkamp, Kessler, Sorokin, yet to pit. Oh, Osterkamp is in.
No, Osterkamp has been in and out.
In and out, okay.
Yeah, he's back out in second. Honestly, because of those pit stops, really, the closest fight we've got now is between Nolden, Herman, and Key. Everybody else a little bit separated. Riding on board with Key at the moment. Boy, that slip up by Nolden not only helped Herman, but because now Herman's been tussling with Nolden, Key has run them down. Don't think we're going to see a pass here into the bus stop, as Herman was just a little bit too far back. And unfortunately for Herman, unless you're a lot faster than the car ahead, Bill, you don't necessarily want to make the pass here into La Source unless it's the last lap, because here we've got you're flat out all the way to Lacombe. There's no lifting, so it's just a straight draft fest all the way to the next braking zone, which is a long way up the hill. So now is when we're going to see Herman reel him in.
These three cars are coming up on the tail feathers of Sarah Dove. She decides to make her pit stop. Oh, look at the run that Herman has here. This is going to be hard for Nolden to defend this one. Boy, he's got a head of steam.
Makes him go the long way around, but we saw this before. Oh, now he ducks down to the inside. He covers him off. Herman's a smart driver.
It's not often you see a guy make the pass on the outside, then take the defensive line into the corner.
That was some F1 stuff right there. All right, great job to Herman, but battle's not over because, as we've seen, these two very close on pace, so we could see Nolden try to take it back. And with that, Bill, everybody has been in and out because Sorokin has finally taken his stop.
And a couple battles are through the field as well. So let's go ahead and take this opportunity while the racing is still going to be going on. We can't cover it all the time. Let's take this opportunity. I'll do 5 at a time. We're going to hustle here, director, so stay with me. Up in front, it's Rene Osterkamp. He's got 7.7 seconds up on Kessler. Now, this is the battle we've been watching. Well, Kessler is now, 3.7 seconds up on Herman, so we don't have to worry too much about Herman. There's the one we've been watching. These three guys, Herman, Nolden, and Key, racing 3, 4, and 5, although we're not sure if Glenn Key's going to have to make one more stop. Joe, who's after that?
Lubomir Morris is a bit of a ways back from this battle, but as we've seen, these guys not afraid to fight, so he could gain those 3.5 seconds that he needs. Scott Newton would like to follow him along. He's only 1 second back from Morris, so he could use the draft with a good run to try and get up to that 6th position. The driver who just recently pitted, Alexei Sorokin, returns in 8th spot. This is not a bad run for the 087. And then in 9th behind him, you've got Alex Sadler, but it's a whole 7.5 seconds back. So it is a monster gap for him to try and run him down. How about Luke Barton? Well, after all things shake out, even though he started in 24th without a qualifying time, he's up to 10th, Bill. So I don't think Luke can complain too much after the day is done if he finishes here.
Sadler and Barton, 22nd and 24th on the grid. They're making their way through. Of course, Sadler got in it with Phil Reed early. Let's go to 11th position, David Boutellard, as he is about 3 seconds behind the guys we were just talking about. He's got about 2 seconds back to Stuart Milne.
And we don't need to go to it, but Herman did lose the place to Noel again down the Kemmel Straight.
Yeah, they tried to wait, but we took too long to run down. Here's the guy who's coming in 13th, Dominic Gatermeyer. Gatermeyer's been very impressive in some of the sprint races right now. We'll keep an eye on this one as he tries to run down Milne. All these cars still on the lead lap. Back in 14th position, Ali Hay. He's dropped 3 spots. Here's a battle for 15th. This is Daniel Morris and Sarda.
For all the excitement that Sarah has given us, she's back where she started, which was 16th position. I don't know if she had some trouble maybe that we missed, but it seemed like she was just making moves going forward, left, and right every time we looked at her. And well, I guess the pit stops sorted that out to where she's not made anything.
We'll go up to P6. Imre, Lindstrom, Ryan, and Turner round out your top 20. Now, this guy's been coming. This is Scott Newton. When we checked in, we did our rundown. Newton was a lot farther back. It didn't take him long to get there.
Morris has made more than him, though. He started in 10th. He's in 6th. Make this 7th soon. Easy pass down up to Blanchimont.
So once again, those positive SimRacing green driver. Orange, I think they are orange. I apologize.
Yeah, back wing is orange.
They race 7th and 8th. 7th and 8th.
Sorokin right in the tire tracks, ready to pick up the pieces. But what a great run off of the bus stop for Scott Newton to get himself clear of Morris.
And then while all that's going on, this battle continues. Now, who's up there right now? Well, right now it's Kerry Nolden, but that could change. Herman's a little farther back than we saw last time, but he's got a good run. Watching the whole thing, Glenn Key. Well, here comes the run. Herman is really fast. Doesn't get there quite as early as he did last time. No, I don't think it's going to work.
He lifted. He lifted. I think this is a smart move. I think he's gauging to see what he can and can't do here in the last stages. Because he's got Glenn Key back there, and all Key needs is for these two to start fighting, and he could take 2 spots in one. Now, that can't guarantee that Glenn could run away from them necessarily, but you really, I mean, track position, we've heard many of the fastest drivers say it, Bill. You always want track position, even if it is a slipstream fight, because you basically control things a little bit more. If something happens, because you really just don't know what could happen, it's better to be ahead than behind.
Well, what's really interesting about this battle is I think Herman is really strong on straight line speed, but Nolden is so good under braking that not only does Herman need to make the pass, he almost needs to finish the pass to get it done.
Yeah, that tells me there's a little bit more wing on Nolden's setup. All right, another long straight. Let's see if we see a repeat. So Herman's already reeling him in.
See what type of line Nolden takes here. Not really sure what the defensive line is into the bus stop. I guess it's on the right, but it's not going to matter here. Herman's not going to make the move here.
Yeah, Herman, we've seen this a couple times now. I really think that Herman is just playing a bit of a strategic game, scoping things out, seeing what kind of runs he can get where, and not at the same time, not running side by side.
And I think he realizes that he's not also going to be able to pull away, even if he were to get around. Nolden really good out of the source, gets a big interval between those two cars.
Yeah, the key coming up this part, Bill, is really just putting as little steering in as you dare to try and straighten things out, because every little bit of momentum helps up this hill.
Right on board, looking up ahead at Nolden. We do this, I'm scanning through the field. Not a real battle going on anywhere farther back. All the cars pretty spread out. So we'll stay on this one.
Is Stuart Milne getting his second stop? Oh no, I think Milne had an issue. A big issue, because he's missing his nose.
Oh my goodness.
Trying to find it.
Yeah.
It was a long ways back. Oh yeah, it was at least a lap back in Lacombe, so it would have to be at least a whole 2 minutes back here.
I talked about Dominic Gatermeyer putting the pressure on him. That's what happened. Dominic was coming, and Milne felt it and put the car on the wall. So Dominic moves up now into 12th position.
Good news from... Oh, go ahead.
Got about 2 seconds to get to Boutellard.
The good news from Milne is he hit the barrier pretty squarely, so all it did was really just take the nose off. I don't think he should have gotten any suspension damage from that, so he just came in, got a new nose, and he's back out and running.
With 16 minutes of racing to go, checking to see if anybody's going to run anybody else down. I'll keep an eye on that one. All this going on behind Rene Oosterkamp, who has a 9-second lead. That's over Kessler. Boy, talk about those SimRC guys. Oosterkamp with a 9-second lead, Kessler with a 3-second lead to third. But that's where the action is. Right now, let's maybe check back in on that one. There it is, Nolden, Herman. Oh, now this time, Herman's a lot closer out of the source. If he wants it, he could force the issue. Let's see if he even cares to.
I'm guessing he won't, unless it's like very early that he catches him. Well, which might be the case. Yeah, fantastic run. Pulls up to the side.
We've seen this before. This is still, the pass still not made. He's got to get up here and then close the door. Otherwise, Nolden is going to outbreak him. Nolden tucks back in.
Great job. Great job by Herman there. Just to kind of know exactly where to place the car.
I know it's a long way back, but Newton is trying to catch these guys. He's 5 seconds back. He's doing his best.
There we see the 781. Still has to worry about Morris behind him a little bit here.
The other one I'm watching is, I just don't think there's enough time. Sorokin is in 8th position, and Sadler is closing, but I think he's going to run out of minutes. He's knocked about 2 seconds off since the pit stop, but I don't think he's going to get there.
So with this being a modern Grand Prix track here, Bill, the good thing is that there's a lot of runoff in most places, so our attrition rate isn't too high. We've lost Reed, Ringrose, Hoyer, and Alander, but we still have 21 of our 25 starters out there on track. Not bad. Now,
let's go to 11th real quick. Go ahead, Joe, while you're talking.
When we get down to the last laps and those incidents have racked up, that attrition rate could pick up, because it's more than 17 laps, so you can't afford more than one a lap. In fact, a lot less than one per lap.
This is David Boutellard. What I'm looking at here is Gatermeyer again is closing in little by little. He's only back by, well, you can see the interval, or 1.6. And Boutellard misses the apex through the bus stop.
Gatormeyer was
Gatormeyer
much tighter.
much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In fact, that's
He
down to
knocked off 3/10
1.3.
yeah. I think just the name Gatormeyer puts pressure on people.
Sorry, Dove spun it into the bus stop. Sorry, Bill.
Right behind him.
Now, this is unusual. Did she...
Went left on her.
It's almost like she locked up the rears or something. Because it was at the very end. Here we go. So we ride on board. Yeah, just veers the wrong way. Yeah, I mean, whenever I started to lose it, the car wanted to oversteer into the corner.
Those things makes you want to go, So she drops down to 15th. Daniel Morris was able to get that spot.
Well, that implies she was up to 14th, so she gained some when we weren't looking.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye and see if she can run down Morris. Check in on what's going on up top there right now. Well, Nolden has decided that he's going to be in the lead for a while. Well, not in the lead, but the lead between Nolden and Herman.
You know, I'm starting to suspect Glenn Key does not actually have the pace for these guys. Nope. He's dropping off a little bit. It's not drastic, but you don't want to be this far back. You want to give them a little bit of space, especially if they're fighting, but not this much space.
Don't need to go there, but Gatormeyer has knocked off another 0.4 of a second on Boutelar for 11th, so he's got 11 and a half minutes to get there. I think Dominic's got a chance to get 11th.
Has a chance, but again, we like to say, it's one thing to catch a driver, it's another thing to pass them.
All right, let's try one more time out of the source. Here we go. This is Nolden up in front. Herman should be able to get him in the toe.
He's very close, actually.
Boy, he gets to him really early. I think this is going to be a case of making the pass and be able to move over again. Let's see if he does it over the last time.
If he had enough speed.
I know he's got him clear. I don't know if he knows he's got him clear. Now, Nolan's just going to cut back in behind. That's not how it's going to go on the last lap. Kerry's going to try to dive it in there if it happens like that.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, you're going to see a lot of dicing, and that could be a little bit risky. I almost wonder if we're going to see some car contact in the last lap as drivers get a little too aggressive trying to cover people off or send it in late. Man, now up to 1.2 seconds. Half a lap ago, it was 9/10 between Key and Nolden. Key's watching this slip through his fingers.
Let's leave that one for just a minute. Go into this battle between teammates. 7th position, Lubomir Morris. I'm not sure this is a real battle as these guys continue to race. It's about a second between them. But poor Alex Sadler, he's knocked off another second since I checked in on it last. Now it's down to 4.5 with 9 minutes of racing, 9.5 minutes of racing to go.
And these two have been relatively close on pace, so I'm kind of with you, Bill. I don't think it's a real battle between these two. Maybe in the last lap, if they're close to each other, they might try and duke it out if they think they're safe. But the one I'm watching is the one that you keep bringing up, Gatormeyer and Boutelar. He's really gaining on him now.
Shouting distance.
Curious to see if he'll make up any in the braking zone.
Oh, let's look at Scott Newton. It just happened. Coming out of the bus stop. I'd say 30 seconds maybe would be fine.
Yeah, you so desperately want to get to the power coming out of this chicane, and you'll see it here. It's on the second apex. The car is unsettled because you're jerking it around, changing directions very quickly through here, and it just wasn't gripped up on the rear, and too much throttle did what you saw there.
So what's interesting is he loses a spot to Morris, loses a spot to Sorokin, and then we talked about Alex Sadler's too far back to catch anybody. Well, no, not as Scott Newton spins in front of him. Now it's 1.5 seconds back to Sadler.
Good news for Alex Sadler for sure. Don't need to go to it, but while that was happening, Gatormeyer lost a lot of the time that he had just gained. I don't know what he did, but Boutellard is a little bit safer here with now only 8 minutes left to go. Time's running out for these drivers that are trying to run someone down, Bill.
And Herman now in third. I hate viewers. I hate to jump you around so much, but we're trying to couple 3 or 4 battles at the same time. Herman has opened up a bit of a lead on Nolden, and actually Key is closer to Nolden than Nolden is to Herman.
That tells me that Nolden made some sort of error somewhere along the way. Key has an opportunity. Now's when Key has to push. He's just been hanging back that little bit too far, not able to stay up. At this point, you're so late in the race, there's really no reason to hold back. It's attack mode. Get whatever positions you can at the end here.
He's got him now. He's got a good run. See if he forces the issue down into the bus stop. Probably not.
He gets a little too wide through Francorchamps.
If he just waits a little bit more, he can get it out of a rouge.
Oh, no!
And this time he hits the wall. The third time's the charm. We've seen him lose it once, twice. The third time he puts it in the wall. Coming out of the bus stop, it looked a lot like Scott Newton. Just getting that tire down.
Oh, no. And I believe he has suspension damage. After this replay, let's stay on it because he starts weaving. And at first I thought he was testing the car. Yeah, he's coming into the pits. You're going to see it's just he knocked it out. There's the tip. And as he takes off, the damage is immediately apparent. Oh,
all season long, there's been a running joke in the forum that Nolden's able to spin off camera and we don't catch him. Sorry, Kerry. We got that one live.
Well, that happened. Connor Ryan seems to have had an almighty shunt. And it was out of Lacombe. I think it was a little too far ago, actually. But, yeah, he lost it trying to come out of Lacombe's, went right into the barriers, and he, too, is taking a tow. Meanwhile, pass on screen.
There it is. That's on the outside. That's Gatormeyer. He got him. He ran down Boutellard. He closes. He finishes it up. Now, a driver that is missing suddenly, that has disappeared, is Sadler. And he went so quietly, I'm almost... Well, no, he's in the pits, so I wonder if Sadler had an issue. I can't find it.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what happened there.
I would have thought incident cap the way this quietly disappeared, but... So he's out of the mix. So what does that mean? Well, it's Osterkamp and Kessler. Boy, they're going to finish strong for SimRC. Remember him? Rene Osterkamp. 12 seconds, basically.
Considering they had to be outscored by quite a margin by positive SimRacing Green, and they have the 2 highest spots, I think this is... we're not good at math, Bill, but I think SimRC's got it.
Yeah. You know what, though? Look at Kessler. It's only 2 seconds back now to Herman. It's coming down a little bit.
Well, and Herman's got to worry about Key.
More or less, or maybe they can dance together because those guys are teammates.
You mean Herman and Kessler?
You know,
Herman and Key are not.
Correct. Herman and Key are not. You're correct. It's Key and Hoyer. Sorry, got my H's mixed up. Yes. In fact, here comes Key right now. He's got a good run. He's a little farther back, but let's see how... All of a sudden, you know, we thought that Glenn didn't have the pace. Look at this run. Is he going to force the issue? He's going to dive to the outside. Herman working his way over. They continue to be Cialis backed up through here. Key gets a little bit loose. They continue to race, and Herman's going to be able to fend him off.
He's going to have another go under Vash. Oh, and yep, Herman knows it. I was going to say, still sends it in anyways. Wow, great stuff from Key. I said that now is go time, and he listened.
Look at Key give the hokey doke. He looked right, he looked left, and he looked right, and he got it made. Great racing from Glenn Key. Of course, Glenn, we're still not sure if he has to make a legitimate stop. Remember, he jumped the start and then served a penalty, and maybe he's thinking that's his pit stop.
With that kind of racing, I'd say he's good to go.
Whether the points count or not is another question.
Yeah. Man, 12.8 seconds between Osterkamp and Kessler. Renee's got to be asking how come he couldn't put these performances in the rest of the season.
It's been a great season here on GSRC covering the Apex Online Racing Formula Renault 2.0 Season 10 Championship. And there we look at Renee Osterkamp, dominant
This should be
today.
white flag, Bill.
Coming around, Osterkamp's coming across the line with, as he comes across, we're going to get white flag with just 2 minutes and 10 seconds left, a lap time of 2:16. It's not only white flag for Renee Osterkamp, it's the white flag for Season 10.
Man, it's been an awesome season. I'm really glad I got to cover this one because the unpredictability really left us. It's sad it didn't come to the final round, but even still, you had drivers coming and going in the points, Bill.
Let's go to third. Here's a driver who's coming on the track right now. Key playing defense. Herman with the momentum on the outside. Let's see how Key is under braking here. This is the last lap. Yes, indeed, he's going to dive it in there. Boy, he fends him off.
Wow, still makes the apex and everything.
Wow.
Ooh, good run coming out of Malmedy, but Herman's too little too late. Can't repeat the feat that he saw Key do down at a Rivage.
We'll have to wait until we get to the bus stop for that one last chance there. We should have time to come back and get to that one.
I was going to say that Key is certainly not safe. That long last stretch is going to offer a good chance for Herman.
Our leader working the back half of the track. Heading now towards Blanchimont.
So we take a look at our leader on his victory lap effectively. Just 2 more braking zones to go, Bill.
Then we'll jump back as soon as he crosses the line. We'll check back in on Key and Herman. And I can tell you, I can just report audibly if Herman is making the move as they go down through Blanchimont. They are side by side. Meanwhile, we look at our leader. Renee Osterkamp going through La Source. And he's going to pick up the big points here as he wins the season finale of Season 10 AOR.
It's not over for third. Key's got the inside down into La Source. Herman is going to try and do it the long way around, or maybe with an over-under. I don't think he's going to be able to get too much on the power.
He's got 9 seconds before Lubomir Morris gets there, so Stefan Herman going to have to settle for fourth. But that's giving it all it's worth. Morris comes across now.
I was going to say that I give credit to Herman because you can't say that he didn't give it his all. So
it is Morris, Sorokin, and Newton come across in 5th, 6th, and 7th. Look at this last battle here. Gatemeyer, we saw him get around Boutlamar, and he's able to hang on to that one.
Bill, I think as we go to 12th place, this is Morris and Sadler fighting for position. As long as Morris is clean on the power, and he is, he's going to get that P12. Bill, I think there's some drivers that are wishing that we did have a doubleheader here today. We had no drivers finish a lap down.
Yeah. Sarah Dove is going to get what I think is going to be 14th spot. She's still got Imre in 15th, Lindstrom in 16th. go ahead and look at Lindstrom right now as he goes around La Source, as his season is about to finish up. Let's take this time and give everybody a little love that we did in Stuart Milne. He's going to come across in 17th. Last car on the lead lap. He's got a ways to go. Even if he were to spin, it would be Kevin Turner. Those positions would be locked in, I believe. So, 18 cars on the lead lap. Matteo Coppola, the first car, 1 lap down in 19th. Well, the racing is over here at Spa. The season is over here for Apex Online Racing, but our broadcast is far from done. Don't go far. We'll take a short break. We'll come back down to run the entire finishing order up. Talk to some of the drivers before we put a lock on the gate. Back in a few. sanctioned by Apex Online Racing. You're watching the Global Sim Racing Channel's coverage of their Formula Renault 2.0 Season 10 Championship, the finale from Spa. Let's give you the finishing order now. It was wire to wire for Rene Oosterkamp as he comes home a whopping 13.5 seconds ahead of his teammate Patrick Kessler. Kessler secured the championship last round. SimRC secures the team championship this round. Glenn Key, he's going to be unofficially scored in third. We'll see if those points hold up as he jumped the start and then made a stop. We're not sure if those are going to count or not. Stefan Herman is in fourth, ahead of Lubomir Morris. His teammate, Alexei Sorokin, in sixth. Scott Newton, Luke Barton has a great run from 24th to 8th. Dominic Gatermeyer, we saw him make that pass on the inside of David Boutellard. Joe?
Ali Hay finishes in 11th, which is exactly where he started. Daniel Morris moved up a few spots to get 12th, with Alex Sadler taking a chunk of spots, not having qualified, started 22nd, finishes in P13. Sarah Dove did get up a little bit farther forward, getting 14th today, with Evan Emre taking 15th behind her. Urka Lindstrom finishes in the 16th spot. Stuart Milne comes home in at 17th, and the last car on the track was 18th, Kevin Turner. And you get our DNFs for the day. Matteo Coppola in 19th, and Kerry Nolden in 20th. Conrad finishes 21st. Manuel Hoyer 22nd. Valtteri Alander 23rd. Joseph Reimers 24th. And Phil Reed rounds out our 5 starters.
And now we have time for interviews. We're going to be able to talk to our, well, not the race winner, but the man who finished in third position, and that is Glenn Key. Glenn, congratulations on the podium. Let's go to the start and walk us through the first couple laps. And is this third place going to hold up?
Wow, this race has been one of the toughest and longest races I've ever done. It's worse than endurance racing. Hold on, let me put it down a little bit. So it's the start last week, Imola, and then again this week. I'm getting some disturbing vibrations in my Oculus, so I'm kind of reacting to it, even though it shouldn't be an excuse. But this time it wasn't as severe. I still had a horrible stop and go for it, and I thought, okay, I got to pull myself together and just put in a bunch of groups, make sure I don't lose too much. And then I saw Stefan pitted as well, and then I figured, okay, if I pass him, so be it. If he overtakes me again, then I'll just let him go and just try to keep follow, because he was then my reference point on where all the others were. So, but I don't know if I could have had the win today, but P2 would have been great. But again, I'm still on the podium, still get to spray that champagne. So overall, really happy.
Well, congrats on that. You're in a battle. You were watching Herman and Nolden race for most of the time, just sitting back there enjoying it. Then you saved it for the end, huh?
Yeah, I figured I saw. I didn't know if Kerry had pitted already, so I thought that he was kind of being way over aggressive if he was going to pit. But then I started figuring out, okay, he's pitted, so he's battling for position. And then I figured, okay, I'll look myself about 1.5 seconds behind to avoid the aero push to save my tires, because realistically, I've been doing the whole race with the same set of tires almost, except when I pitted in the beginning. So I just thought, okay, if these two bang each other, then that's a free for me. So unfortunately, they didn't. But then I saw Stefan overtake and pull away. So I thought, okay, now is the time to put in some effort. And then I don't know what happened to Kerry. He just lost it into the bus stop. And then it was about 3 or 4 minutes left behind Stefan. Really, really respectable guy to race against. I do agree I was you got to do what you got to do. And I gave him the space. Some shady moments where I lost the balance of the car, but we managed to hold it together. And then the white flag came, and I had to defend with my life in that position. And the final corner, I saw him slowing down right before the final turn, and then I knew, okay, he's gonna do up and under, so I have to make sure I keep my line tight. And then initially I just saw the yellow car spin back in my rear view mirror. So
well, it was a hard fought indeed. Congratulations on the podium. Congratulations on the season. And we look forward to seeing you next season. If GSRC is back, we look forward to covering you.
Thank you very much. It's been great having you guys covering us. I enjoyed the broadcast, and thank you for all the effort and time you're putting into this. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Glenn. We appreciate those thoughts as well. Glenn Key. Joe.
Next, we've got 7th place finisher Scott Newton. But I have to ask, Scott, do you feel like you gave away a top 5 today here in the last round?
Yeah, hi Joe, definitely. To be honest, just coming out of the bus stop, put the power down, must have had too much lock in the car, and just with the available grip that I had and the heat in the track, yeah, just put me around. So definitely kicking myself for throwing away the top 5, but to only have lost 1 position from where I started is probably not as bad as what I possibly could have had, considering the start of the race.
Now, we talked a lot about setups because it seemed like it was a little warm out on the track surface today. Which route did you go? Did you put a little bit of wing in to help you be faster in the twin bits, or were you just trimming it out so that you go as fast as you can?
Yeah, in testing earlier this week, I trimmed it out as much as I could, and with it, just due to the fact that making changes to the setup right or the start of the race, even though I have done it in the past, is probably not advised. But yeah, initially at the start of the race, I wasn't able to unlock the pace that I had until the second stint, and potentially paid the price for it. But I knew that if I could at least stay with Livermere around the pit stop phase, then I'd be in a good shot for the top 5, and it was looking that way until probably about 3 or 4 to go.
Yeah, it was a bit sad to see you lose it there at the end through the bus stop. But regardless, at least finishing with a top 10 at the end of the season. Coming into the season, are you excited for any tracks in particular on the schedule?
Yeah, definitely. My first round will be run up to America. I've always done well there, so it's a favourite track for me, and I'm sure that there's many other drivers that like that track as well. So yeah, that would be one to look forward to, and Bathurst as well. It's only 3 tenths off the win, chasing that illustrious feature win. So it's always evaded me. It was Montreal season 5. Then this time, and then Bathurst this season, so is when I've been the closest. So hopefully, if I can get a feature win next season, even though it seems a tall order with Rene being as far ahead as he is, the SimRacing guys just do a good job as always. But yeah, also Phillip Island as well. That's my home track for the season. So I think Phillip Island and Bathurst are back to back. So yeah, definitely looking forward to those 3 at least.
Yeah, you'll have to keep pushing because they certainly seem to have a stranglehold on things when they're on their game. But that said, we're going to close up with this and close up for the season. Thanks for talking to us, and best of luck next season.
No worries. Cheers, fellas. Have a good off-season, and hope to see you next one.
Bill?
Scott Newton, always a good interview. We'd like to thank everybody at Apex Online Racing for organizing the Formula Renault 2.0 League, and to all the members who support the broadcast. GSRC was honored to be AOR's choice of broadcasters for Season 10, and we hope that honor extends to Season 11. Thanks to the company's equipment and software that you see on the screen now that we use on the broadcast. The original music comes courtesy of Eric Echolm and June Lalonde. See the screen for how to contact each of them. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, visit globalsimracingchannel.com, or you can check out our social media on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global Sim Racing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Graham. Don't forget to head over to the YouTube page and hit the big red subscribe button as well, so you don't miss anything here on the Global Sim Racing Channel. Finally, on behalf of the crew, Joe, Sean, and Dougie, I'd like to thank all of you for watching. With that said, we're off to have fun storming the castle. So, until next time, here's Clean Break Car to meet you on the track.